Well, hello guys, welcome back. I know it's been a while, that's because I had real life stuff going on. So yeah, my apologies for having a life. Oh yeah, and I was doing some grinding. You see, one of the unlockable weapons in Bayonetta requires you to play 100 chapters on normal or harder. So in the interest of the LP, I decided to do all that grinding all at once after playing 2 chapters, so I had to grind about 98 chapters. Now the shortest chapter that you can do grinding on is this chapter here, the prologue. It takes about 5 minutes each time you play through. So if you don't do that maths, that's 100 chapters, 5 minutes each, 500 minutes. I believe 500 minutes is about 8 or so hours. This actually only took me about 7.5 hours, so it wasn't that long. I have a life, what are you talking about? But still, it's a bitch to do. Mainly because there's no cheat for it. You may be aware that there are cheats available to unlock certain weapons in the coming chapter actually, at the phones. You can't do that with this weapon, you have to do it for reals. Now normally on a regular playthrough you wouldn't need to grind 100 chapters at once. Because normally you would play through normal, then on hard, then on non-stop, and that gives you about 50 or so chapters, leaving you another 50 to grind, which is still a fair bit, but it's a lot more doable than doing 100 at once. Now there may be some confusion about how you actually play through 100 chapters and have it count. Basically, as long as you play through the entire chapter to see the summary screen, you'll have played a chapter. As long as you don't quit out, you'll be fine. You don't need to update your score each time either. But yes, that was half an hour of grinding, condensed into 2 minutes. Just a bit of a taster of what I had to do.
Such a disappointment.
Yes, I know. So here's what I mean by updating your score. You don't have to do it. But here's what you get for 100 chapters. A new LP. The hardest earned LP in the game. So let's have a look at it.
Another LP? Working me to the bone. But no need to pity me. I was bored anyways. Let me go whip some things into shape for you. Made me break a sweat. I gotta give it to my tropical friends. They sure are fun to play around with.
I never want to hear that music again. It reminds me of orchestra.
Just for you.
So yes, we get nunchucks in this game. Not a very common thing as far as I'm aware. So we'll be having a look at the nunchucks this episode. A lot of fun to be had. But first, we've a boss to fight. Now, this boss on hard or non-stop really isn't that much different. You'll see here that she has 2 health bars as opposed to 1 the first time we meet her on normal. Now, as you would expect on a fresh playthrough, this is a bit tougher because normally when you're playing through on subsequent times, you'll have all your abilities like the Panther and the Crow, plus you have your accessories as well, which makes it a lot easier. So for a fresh playthrough, just revert back to the old strategy of dodge offsetting wicked weaves. And I don't know about you guys, but I really hate her uppercut attack. There seems that there's absolutely no warning at all. But that's that. Nothing too difficult. So, as you'd expect from grinding a whole bunch, I have a lot of halos. I think I got about 2 million total. So, because of that, I took the initiative and bought all the accessories that we can get so far. Oh yes, and I also got the alternate shotguns, but no one cares about that. I'll be showing off the accessories as they become relevant, so I'll actually be showing all of them off this time and not just a couple. So here's the nunchucks in action. A couple of different combos. But they mostly handle, like, the shotguns or the guns. I'm gonna say this every time it happens, but I love that finisher. I really love doing Wicked Weave pounds, they look so great. Plus they're a really great way to launch enemies that aren't decorations. So here we have the first crow. On hard, mind you, not on non-stop. Up on the window. So, now that we've seen them in action, I've made a little info section on the nunchucks. Enjoy! Okay, let's have a look at the nunchucks. The nunchucks are basically one huge Bruce Lee reference. Looking at genres to start with, genres are called Tang Lung. Tang Lung is a reference to the character that he plays in Way of the Dragon. Bayonettas, on the other hand, are called Sai Feng, or Sai Fon. Sai Feng is a reference to Bruce Lee's childhood nickname. It means Little Phoenix, and it's also a girl's name. His mum gave him a girl's name because she thought that demons didn't like boys in her family. She thought that because her first son died in his infancy, so what she did was she gave Bruce a girl's name to hopefully ward away the demon. She also got his ear pierced just to make sure that they would really believe it. Now, Bayonetta does have an Umbran elegance for Sai Feng. Basically, it just gives her an outfit that looks like Bruce Lee's. Speaking of Umbran elegances, Jean does not get any. Yeah, she's lame like that. Now, Bruce Lee is pretty well known for using nunchucks in his films. He makes it look pretty cool. So if you do the 5-punch combo with Bayonetta, she does this funny sound. That's called a ki. A ki is something that Bruce Lee, again, popularized in modern culture, so basically if you've got a martial arts movie these days, you won't go without hearing it. A ki is supposed to increase the force of your blows, and it also keeps you breathing while you're fighting. It also acts as something sort of like a battle cry, because hey, it's pretty intimidating being yelled at. Now, first-hand accounts of Bruce Lee actually fighting indicate that he was actually pretty quiet. In his movies, though... So you'll see 8 characters that show up when we use these nunchucks. These 8 characters are Chinese and they mean Earth, Lake or Marsh, Heaven or Sky, Water, Mountain, Lightning, Wind and Fire. These 8 characters make up the Bagua, which is the 8 fundamental principles of reality. Bagua literally means 8 symbols. The Bagua comes from Taoist cosmology and it's used by Feng Shui practitioners and in traditional Chinese medicine. The perfect parry for the nunchucks is something called a 1-inch punch. This is a martial arts technique and, again, it was popularized by Bruce Lee. Basically, it involves using explosive power at close range to deliver a knockout blow. It's all in the wrist. The punish attack is pretty much exactly the same as for the guns or for the shotguns. Nothing different there, apart from the fact that the targeting system still is a bit strange at times. Now the nunchucks are really good for air combos, especially for enraged enemies. When you try an air combo in an enraged enemy normally, they'll just drop like a stone because they're really heavy and you can't do it. But with the nunchucks, they hit so fast that you can just juggle them in the air and not care about them dropping down. Finally, the bullet climax for the nunchucks. Basically, the bullet climax involves throwing the nunchucks at an enemy. They'll just circle around them, and while they do that, you can just punch like normal. You can also use the bullet climax to keep enemies suspended in mid-air. Pretty useful. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that section. Hopefully they'll become a bit more of a fixture in later episodes. Now, as I said before, the nunchucks have a couple of different combos, not necessarily unique. They do a lot more Wicked Weave pounds. And here's the thing about Jean. Yes, she doesn't have a Ki. Quite unfortunate. I would have liked to hear Jean try to do a Ki. She probably would have been very embarrassed.
You need to hone your sense of smell, my dear. There's no rosemary in the perfume. After all, rosemary's a demon repellent.
Now, the nunchucks are really good for staggering enemies, as you just saw there. The bullet climax in particular is good for most enemies, apart from the bigger ones. And their rate of fire, or rate of hits, is such that they will always stagger enemies, actually. And the pounds are a great way to launch enemies. With the nunchucks in particular, I use them more than an uppercut. Now they do dodge offset, the nunchucks. However, the rate of fire from them isn't really reliable in order to keep your combo going. You don't want to rely on it that way. That there pisses me off the most. Sometimes you do a wicked pound in the air and it doesn't connect. Happens to me a lot. One thing I forgot to mention in the info video is that if you do a bullet climax and you hold down punch, so you're punching regularly, she'll fire off some bullets. I don't know where she fires bullets from, but they're there. Whoa. That was close. Now you notice that the combo points gained from using the nunchucks is pretty low. Like one hit is at most 4. But they also hit more than once for each punch, so that makes up for it. Comparatively, they don't do as much damage as other weapons. which means they can be good for building up combo if you know how to use them. And here we have our first crow on non-stop, all the way up there. There is a very specific way to get that crow. You can't jump off the wall then double jump, you won't get high enough. You have to double jump, then wall jump. Don't see why it should make a difference, honestly. Now you may notice that for some verses I have been replacing the music in this game. Sorry, this playthrough. That's because it gets a bit tiring listening to Mysterious Destiny. You know, that really girly song which everyone hates? Yeah, that song is basically about Bayonetta and how cool and mysterious she is. And how awesome she is at beating up angels. So yeah, I get a bit tired of that, so I want to listen to other tracks, thank you very much. I mean, that track there I believe we only hear it once, so yeah, I'll be replacing some music with some of the stuff that you don't hear as often. In that little info section there was a short little clip of Bruce Lee playing ping pong with nunchucks. I don't know why you'd think it, but that is actually fake. Yes, it's actually an ad from China. Yes, it's an ad from China, and it was advertising a Nokia phone. The N96 in particular. I guess in China, Bruce Lee still has quite some significant advertising power. So, something you may have already noticed, but when you have two beloved around, they can actually hit each other with their axe swings. So yes, they can hurt each other. So that technically means you won't get combo points for killing them, because that's damage that you didn't do. See there, he just killed his mate. I swear I should have got hit there as well. Game's being nice to me today. Now, as I was saying with the two beloved, you can actually exploit that in the limited kicks and punches Alfheim in this chapter. I did find a video of someone actually doing that. It's an incredibly lame way of doing it, but I guess it's legitimate. Great, I'm looking at my Audacity lines, and before it was very quiet. I'm really hoping the previous commentary actually turned out okay. I don't want to do this again. So we get back the sword. Honestly, I don't think I'll be doing an information section on the swords. There's nothing very interesting about them. Certainly nothing as in-depth as the nunchucks, for example. But yes. Jean's sword is called Angel Slayer. I don't know whether that's a reference to anything in particular. I mean, we have the Lost Chapter, which is Angel Slayer, and we also have her motorbike, which is called Angel Slayer. Maybe she just likes the sound of it. Okay, so if you hold on the punch button with Jean, she spells out a J and a diamond. You may remember Bayonetta was a B and a love heart. And here's 0. A Z, not a Z, and a skull. Now I know how much some of you guys love Alfheim, so I've included a timestamp for you guys in case you want to skip over it. I don't blame you, it's 10 minutes of Alfheims. As I was saying before about the swords, there's really nothing much to say about them, which is why I need to bring it up. there most likely won't be an info section on them because I think I've pretty much shown everything there is to show with the swords. Apart from the fact that the description of Angel Slayer, which is Jean's, describes it as a twin sword to Shiraba. But there's no sort of mythology related to either of them, so there's nothing really interesting I can cover. Now this Alfheim. This Alfheim can be a little bit challenging with no accessories and not an upgraded magic bar. It means you can't save up your magic. I'm pretty sure that should have hit me. But yes, with this one in particular, I had to plan how many torture attacks I had to do by when. Seems an awful way to do it, but there was really no other way of getting around it. And I'm also very sorry for the sheer amount of guillotine torture attacks. I really wish I could just do the Iron Maiden one or something. And yes, you can control them, if you don't remember. If you initiate a torture attack from behind, it will always be a guillotine one. If you do it from the front, it's going to be an Iron Maiden. If you do it in the air, it's going to be the winch. And if you do it when the enemy is on the ground, then it'll be a tombstone. But yes, as you can imagine, owning magic is a little bit hard. The parry accessory here would be very greatly appreciated actually, but I didn't use it because this is supposed to be a fresh playthrough. I'll only be using the accessories when completely necessary. Also, in case it wasn't evident already, enraged enemies give you more magic as well. They let you build up your magic a little bit faster. Another one. I'm so sorry. Now for some reason this wave gives me a lot of trouble. It's those two Arders there. They really shouldn't give me that much trouble, but they don't get staggered by the nunchucks unless you beat off all the armor, so it's actually kind of hard. And particularly when you're not supposed to use magic on them. Normally you can pull off an instant wicked weave and they'll be fine. Really shouldn't have done that. Because magic is so crucial, especially with only 9 orbs, really shouldn't have put off that instant wicked weave, but when you feel overwhelmed, it's a good way to deal with crowd control. Also, don't forget your friend Taunt. Taunting is pretty helpful. Of course your strategy will be very different with Bayonetta or with the parry accessory, but this is what I had to do. That Alfheim took me the longest to get, I believe. A good couple of hours, actually. So, the next one. This is the limited kicks and punches. Here's a little trick I can show you. No, not with that. With that. Yes, with the moon of Maha Kala. Blah blah. I think I may have already shown off this trick, but just to be sure. Right. So if you do a perfect parry with the sword equipped, then you'll pull off an Yaijitsu, I think it's called. And that counts as a free hit, it doesn't count as a punch or a kick. Now there are other moves in Bayonetta's repertoire that would count as well, like the 5 dodge combo. If you remember, if you dodge 5 times with Bayonetta, then she does that pose and then she fires off some bullets. If you do that with Kilgore, then you get some easy damage as well. But yes, with the later ones, punch and kicks, they give you a lot of kicks and punches. It's really hard to actually fuck it up. Finally, the last one. The easiest one. Nothing really to talk about here, so let's talk about what those little clips were in the info section. I call it info session. Now, I grabbed some clips from the movie Enter the Dragon, which was Bruce Lee's final movie, actually, before he passed away prematurely. As for the plot of the movie, well, I'm not really sure I can tell you much. I did watch the movie, yes, but I don't think I understood it. So let's see. Bruce Lee plays a martial arts guy called Lee, and he is invited or employed by the British intelligence to go arrest some corrupt monk guy called Han. This guy Han actually owns his own island, and he's holding a martial arts tournament, so obviously Bruce Lee has to go and beat everyone. Oh yes, and I should mention that this Han guy, he has a detachable hand, so he can accessorize. At one point he uses a sort of Wolverine attachment, and also a bear claw. So, as you'd expect, there are other characters who go to the martial arts tournament. One of them is a black guy called Williams. He's not really notable because, spoilers, he dies. And then he's got a friend who is a white guy, I guess if you really care about that. He's called Mr. Roper, or as the Asians call him, Mr. Lopa. And Roper eventually figures out that Han is actually a corrupt opium den guy, and he and Bruce Lee try to stop him. And then it ends up in a big kung fu fight thingy. And everyone... Actually no, the ending is actually quite bittersweet. There's no happy ending. One cool thing I just found out about it though was that Jackie Chan actually was an extra in this movie. Jackie Chan before he went bad and did all those movies like Tuxedo. All those terrible English-speaking movies. I'm sorry for being prejudiced, but he's much better when he's speaking Cantonese. Pretty sure it's Cantonese. But yes, that's Enter the Dragon. You should watch it. It's kind of funny, actually. Those close-ups on Bruce's face after he's killed someone are quite... are something. They're something. You can actually get lots of combo points on this Alfheim if you have Witch Time enabled. Good for grinding if you're into that. Grinding for halos in any case. Well, welcome back to those of you who skipped the Alfheim, if any of you did actually skip the Alfheims. I don't really blame you. It was 10 minutes. So yes, feel free to do it. No one's making you watch these videos. Did I mention how annoying joys are to play with Jean? Getting Witch Time off of them with Jean is a bitch, which is why I really hate fighting them with her. With Bayonetta as well, it's a lot easier because you can earn magic easily and you can pull off a torture attack. But no, with Jean, as we expect, as everything with her, it's harder. So, we have another crow here. In the grass for hard. Right, so this really isn't anything different, it's the same, only that you can't get witch time. Nothing different there. Oh yes, if you hold in the punch button while you've got the nunchucks, you can fire off some bullets. I never really use it because it actually can break your combo because it takes so long to initiate. And yes, in case it wasn't immediately obvious, when you do a bullet climax, Jean or Bayonetta will eventually catch the nunchucks again. It's pretty cool. Now, I'm watching over this video, which I've encoded a lot of times now, and I think I realised that I forgot to include a crow on non-stop. Shit. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to go back and encode this video again. I can't believe I have to encode it again.
It's a celebration, bitch.
No, it's not. Ugh. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. I gotta go encode a video.